So welcome to this week's episode of Marketing IQ Live. It's a opportunity for us to deep dive every couple of weeks into conversations that we're having internally about the marketing world and delivering marketing in this ever-changing environment. Things we're hearing our clients say that we can bring the unique vantage point that we have as agencies, where we can see people that are doing it really well, people that are learning to do it better, and just kind of bring all those thoughts, ideas, strategies together. Hopefully that's something that you can use as marketing leaders to take your own programs, your own company, your own teams moving forward. Now, today we're going to do something slightly different. Rather than just have a typical presentation where we walk through it, it's going to be some of that. Cristiano is going to be sharing some of the information from his recent talk at Euroconf
at Brighton SEO, yeah.
Euroconf at Brighton SEO, and a recent article from Google, because what we want to talk about is the changing search landscape, in particularly how Google is evolving this and changing it. But for marketing leaders, I think what's particularly important and interesting to discuss is, how do we now best deliver this? Yes, we know it's changing. Yes, we know customers are having a different experience. They can do all these cool new things, and we're going to go into some of what they are. But how does that work from a delivery perspective? Is it different teams? Is it the same teams? Is it 10 different people? Is it just one person now and one prompt? We're going to go through all this, and I know Cristiano has a lot of thoughts and ideas onto this. So, Cristiano, shall we start with a bit of a run through from your Brighton SEO Euroconf presentation to set the scene?
Yeah, that makes sense. So today, primarily, we're going to talk about how things have evolved, how things have changed, and what you need to do to adapt it to the new reality. But it's important for us to get a little bit of context on what's been happening over the last 6 to 12 months in, well, I would say digital marketing and search. And just for us to set the scene, make sure we're all on the same page before we jump into the practicalities of what you need to do to adapt. I would like to share some insights and some stats with you, what we have learned from Google last year and what Google has announced last week as well. So I promise you, we're not going to do a full presentation here today, but we're definitely going to touch on a few elements that are quite important, just to give everyone context. Number one, the customer journey has evolved. Period. Is here to stay. Things have changed. The way that people search, find information, find your products and services online has changed forever, permanently. We're not going back to the way it was. And a few companies are struggling to understand that things have actually changed. They try to continue to do things in the same way, which means they will fail. And the moment they wake up, it's probably going to be a little bit too late. But what does that mean? What is that change? Number one, AI-powered search is rewriting the rules of discovery. A lot of this presentation, and this is part of my presentation of HeroConf 2025 and 2026. So I presented something similar last year at HeroConf San Diego and last month at HeroConf at Brighton. So this is part of the Brighton SEO event, but it's PPC specifically. And a few stats of what we were presenting before remain the same, but the logic behind it, the flow, it's what's important here. And this is a very important stat, right? We have said this a few times before in some of our previous episodes, but it's very important for people to be mindful of this, because the interpretation and translation of these stats, it's very important to the new reality that we are inserted at the moment. 58% of searches now end without a click. Users find the answers that they need without having to scroll, click, nothing. They search for something on Google, they get the answers they need, and they don't have to go anywhere else. And that causes a drop of around 61% in organic CTR and 68% drop of CTR in paid. This means that more than half of the clicks have disappeared, vanished, and they're not coming back. If you were fighting for 20,000 possible clicks, you're now fighting against 10,000 clicks, probably with the same number of competitors. And we need to remember, Google is an auction. That's about to change, and we're going to touch on that later, but it's an auction, which means if you have the same pool of competitors with a smaller number of clicks, things will get way more expensive. You're not going to get the same conversions as before. It's not going to cost the same. You're probably going to have to spend twice your budget to get more or less the same results. And I would dare to say you're not going to get the same results as before anyway. And this
I
is the
think a
reason
good
why.
litmus test, sorry, Cristiano, I
Yeah,
think a good litmus test there is if you, as a leader in a company, are panicking at this drop and thinking, oh my God, how do we get our clicks back up to that level? You're in that old way of thinking rather than thinking, okay, the game has changed now and we need to be measuring and looking at different things. And as a leader, you need to be communicating that to the organization in a different way,
yeah.
because if they're wondering where our clicks have gone, as you say, they're not coming back.
Yeah, and hopefully we're gonna bring some clarity to all of those questions and situations on this conversation today. This is an interesting one because now 1.4 billion monthly users use AI reviews across more than 200 countries, right? This is a stat from 3 months ago. That stat has been updated to 2 billion. Okay, it's an amazing stat. The vast majority of searches, depending on the country, region, and industry, now involve AI overview. This is when you lose clicks. The queries are 2 to 4 times longer than your original keyword research. Users are having conversation. It's no longer about a keyword, it's about context. That information is quite important, and hopefully it's going to make sense later when we share a few things with everyone. And this leads precisely to the problem that we described a few moments ago, which we call the bottom of funnel trap. You keep pouring budget at bottom of funnel. This is Google search, which is defined in the full funnel engine as demand capture, but growth is flat or things are way more expensive. You're not getting the returns you used to get, right? We already explained the reasons behind it. Now, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into all of these elements, but it's very important to mention two things now. This is something we learned last year in August when we joined Google's Future of Search Summit in London. We were one of the few agencies that got invited for that. And this is Google trying to tell us the changes they're implementing in their search engines, the way that they see the future of search working, and what individuals will need to do to adapt to that. Okay, this is last August, and then we're going to tie it up with what Google presented last week. So number one, this is the mentality now. Google will do the Googling for you. What does that mean? Remember the word context that I mentioned a few moments ago? That becomes increasingly important. It's no longer about a keyword or a query. It's about the context behind it. The reason for that. Number one, we're still going to have ads, but the ads will now sit next to the AI answer. This is a hypothetical example that we put together just so you understand. So before you would search, you will have several ads, and then you have an organic result, potentially a few videos. Now when you search, you have the AI overview, and inside that AI review, you might see an ad, very similar to the example that we are showing you on the screen here. But the ad will be a contextual ad. It's not just about the query or what you're searching for. Google's going to try and predict your intention and is going to serve you an ad based on that. That's why context is so important. And then on the next slide, we're going to share an example of that, right? Keywords are not dead, but Google is moving fast towards a keyword-less targeting. It's more about context. And this is a great example, something that we have mentioned before. I'm going to reinforce that message. If you're doing research on airlines that accept pets, Google will presume you're doing this for the first time. What's the context behind it? Well, that individual is probably traveling with his pet for the first time. They probably do not have a pet carrier. So let's serve an ad with options for that individual to buy a pet carrier. That's the context behind it. Google is going to try and guess your intentions, what you're trying to do, and what you're going to need. So when we said earlier, Google will do the Googling for you, Google will serve you every single information you need, plus options to buy services or products. And this is the caveat.
Cristiano, can I ask on that, or did
Of
Google
course.
bring this up? their business model now, because as you say, they're an auction, right? Google makes an awful lot of money from paid ads, and now those ads are about to drop by a huge amount. I know they're still going to be serving one. Is that one ad now going to be worth an awful lot more because other people aren't bidding for it? Like, I'm curious how their model is going to change with this.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. There are a few different opinions about this. Number one, Google was losing a lot of market because people have changed the way that they search and do research online, right? A lot of people use ChatGPT or Claude, also Gemini, to be honest, which means they go less often to search engines. And when they do go to search engines, they're trying to solve a problem instead of simply searching for keywords. So Google is changing his or its business model, basically. Yes, you will see fewer ads, potentially. We're going to see later what they are doing about it. And will things become more expensive? It depends. And that's exactly what this slide is going to try to explain. It's no longer just about having more money and place higher bids. Still an auction, but for you to be part of that auction, you need to comply with a few rules. It's no longer just about your cost per click. For you to be eligible, you need to enable AI Max or PMax campaigns. That's the main change. Until recently, like 6 months, 8 months ago, people would be very scared and reluctant in launching AI Max and PMax campaigns. And we have had a few clients where we tried a few tests and it wasn't really amazing. This is no longer an option. So you need to make sure you adapt to what AI Max and PMax require. Otherwise, number one, you're not eligible to show in AI auctions in the first place. But it's also about the quality of your ads and your landing page. Is the whole experience from messaging to ad with amazing images. If you can put a video there, that's awesome. But the whole message and context need to match with your landing page experience as well. You might have a great ad if your landing page experience is not amazing because you have a vague landing page with not a lot of information. You might not be eligible. So Google will analyze everything, not just your ad and description and keyword. It's about your whole set of ads, including images, videos, like you're doing full funnel digital marketing here, plus the landing page experience. If it's confusing and if the messaging doesn't match, you might not be eligible. And that might cause a lot of distinction between poorly managed campaigns and the campaigns that always follow high standards. You might not need to pay extra because if you have a great experience and you're offering a great experience to your users and visitors, you might actually end up paying less because not everyone will qualify for this. What I just mentioned, that for you to qualify, you need to have a great ad landing page experience and your user experience has to be amazing. That automatically disqualifies, I would dare to say, a pure guess here, more than 50% of the advertisers, because we know when we click on Google that sometimes there is a disconnect between all the elements from this paid media journey, right? So when I said earlier, it depends, it really depends on your industry, how well you are performing in terms of all these elements that are now relevant and necessary, and what is the type of experience that you are offering to your visitors as well. Okay. Now, this is what Google said last year in August, and we were starting to prepare our clients for the changes that were about to come, right? We know that if you are not prepared, you're not going to qualify, you will fall behind, your performance will continue to drop. Now, last week, I believe it was
Is it worth,
19th.
Cristiano, before you move on to this next bit, when you said that we started to prepare our clients and we started to prepare, let's talk about specifically the kind of things that we were doing and helping the people listening to understand what that would look like.
We can dive a little bit deeper into every single one of these 5 principles. So I'm going to touch on them now, just so we understand what that means, what does prepare means, and then we're going to jump into what Google said, and then we're going to go back to this presentation just to make sense, to be logical, right? So number 1, these are the 5 principles that you need to be aware of. This is how you prepare for these new era of search. And we've been preparing for quite a while now. We've been instructing our clients to prepare for quite a while now. And this has been part of every single piece of content that we have been delivering for the last 6 to 8 months, I would say, oral talks and basically all conversations we've been having, right? So number one, the first principle is integration first. When we say integration, we're not simply talking about integrating your data with your campaigns. Is the full funnel digital marketing integration. All departments need to work together. Remember when I said earlier, from ad to landing page experience, it has to be a seamless experience. That means you need your web designers to be aligned with your messaging and your strategy. If you know that the content of your landing page now has to observe certain requirements, because the landing page experience has to be amazing, your content team needs to be engaged with the paid media team as well. And of course, if you have content and you're looking for context on what you're doing, your SEO department will probably need to join those conversations too. So before, you would have one PPC specialist, and that individual could manage the whole thing. And when that individual needed something from someone in the company, hey, I think I need a new landing page. I think we need to increase content of this landing page. The messaging is off. It is not unusual for those individuals to hear, oh, that's not us. This is a different team. We don't control their working schedule. They have their own to-do list and their own roadmap. And that was the reality. And you could kind of get away with doing things not 100% properly. That's no longer the case. That's perhaps the biggest change that companies will face, and they will need to adapt. If you work in silos and you are not fully integrated with all other departments that compose your digital marketing journey, you will fall behind. You need to have designers involved, you need to have landing page specialists involved, content, SEO, CRO, which is conversion rate optimization. You can do light touches there as well, but that also becomes super, super important. So that's principle number one, and perhaps one of the biggest changes, that you need to change that mindset. That's your team right now. You can't simply hire a PPC manager to do everything for you. You will fail.
I think just to add a little bit to that as well, the kind of how do you do that, and how, because right now we know, Cristiano, you ask another team for something, and one, it's maybe it's not that team. Let's say you need to ask someone else. Two, it can take months, right? We've asked for the most basic changes. We've put business cases together, the amount of revenue it's going to generate, and it just doesn't happen. I think one way of getting that integrated approach is to have everybody measured to the same KPIs, which is typically revenue, right? Whether you're the content team, the web development team, whatever it is, that your key KPI is revenue, and you're all targeted on the same number. So it's just that simple new alignment that when you have those QBRs, you're okay, right? How is everybody contributing to that revenue? Just shifts the perspective, because that does not happen in most organizations.
That's precisely right. And that is exactly point number 5. Measure what matters. You need to unify your measurement. What does success mean? Success means we need to grow our business by, I don't know, 15, 20%. Success means we need to improve the ratio between leads we're getting to MQLs and MQLs to sales or pipeline. How do we all work together to ensure that that happens?
Mm-hmm.
So growth is no longer a metric that belongs to paid media or PPC. Is a metric that belongs to the whole digital marketing department, because you will need to work together to hit that target. Basically, that's one of the ways to resolve this. And I would dare to say that for some organizations, that might actually be the single most challenging point of this whole integration framework we have here, because to bring that integration is not going to be easy, specifically if you are a more traditional company that does things in specific ways. It will require change, and sometimes it's very hard to promote that change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a different way of thinking, right? Like, how do we get a dev and a creative team aligned around revenue and MQLs? Like, this is where AI can help, but it ain't going to do that job for you. Like, how do we get creative about the OKRs, about how this happens, and how do they all link together, and how do we make sure that the dev and creative team have speed, because they know if they do these things quick, the team can execute it, we can generate more revenue. So for leadership, there's a real creative challenge there, as you say, in traditional organizations, of how do we get everyone aligned around this?
Yeah. So you start with communication. What I'm presenting here today, this should be a presentation that you promote in your own company as well. Everybody needs to be aware of the challenges ahead, the changes, and you need to adapt relatively quickly, I would say. Otherwise, you will fall behind. But you're 100% right, John. This is going to be a challenge for a lot of companies. The smaller the company, the easier. Specifically, if they have lean teams, and if you do have any AI advocates or people that are more immersed into this new era of data and information and the AI era, as we call it, right? Then it's going to be easier. But the larger the organization is, probably the slower the change will be. So this means in practice that for the first time in a very long time, smaller companies actually have an advantage here because they might be ahead of the game for at least some time until the bigger ones adapt, and then they might actually take advantage of that. Yeah, I'm going to briefly touch on the other points. Point number 2, full funnel execution. We just saw that if you focus on demand capture, bottom of the funnel, you will no longer survive. There are more nuances on the full funnel execution. And perhaps, John, each of these elements would be another session because we can literally spend 2 hours talking about all of these elements. We said earlier, creative and conversion now, part of your whole digital marketing strategy. You need to have amazing creative and conversion. This is conversion rate optimization, but also the analytics, the measurement. You need to integrate your data to ensure that you are actually optimizing for the right KPIs, which is business growth, right? And use AI as a tool. AI is not going to replace human knowledge. Andrew Karpathy says something very interesting on a session that he was part of. You can outsource the thinking, meaning you can use AI to do brainstorming and do what we call a brain dump, right? You just throw ideas and you help AI to help you with the thinking, but you cannot outsource knowledge. Meaning knowledge is yours. You can get anyone trying to build a digital marketing campaign, and they might succeed to some extent, but if you don't have the specialists that actually help AI go into the right direction, chances are you're not going to have the highest possible performance. So these are the 5 principles that will help you and any organization, right? Very basic principles. When I say basic, of course, there are some nuances to it, but this is how you basically adapt to the AI era. Mm-hmm. This is what we have been saying for a while now. And now it becomes the penny drop moment, is what Google announced last week. But before we jump into that, John, any other questions or any other comments on any of these 5 principles?
Not really. It's just I guess the obvious to us, right, that this is now becoming, it's not AI replacing everyone, it's everyone having to work collectively together with AI as the glue, as holding us all together. The true full funnel of Google looking at the consistency of everything from your search terms, although that's not the right word now, to your creative, to your landing pages, to where everyone's going, to how other people are talking about you online, is incredibly important. And I think as marketing leaders now, the orchestration of that is really important in how they're going to do it.
Yeah. Just so people realize how important this is, I'm going to use an analogy here. I'm going to give up my age now. I'm not sure about you, John, but it was quite normal for someone back in the day when I was a kid, when you turned 10, 12, you start going to typewriting courses, right? We didn't have personal computers in our homes yet. So
I'm not that old.
For you to, well, I think you are. You're just trying to be nice here and hide your age. But anyway, it was common for me, at least. When you're 10, 12, you start taking typewriter courses, because if you wanted to work somewhere, typewriter was one of the main tools for you to write reports, letters, or whatever. And then personal computers came in and completely obliterated that industry, right? This is the typewriter moment right here. Things are changing like that, okay? And this is what Google is saying about that. This is last week, basically. Google is completely changing the way you imagine search. And they are calling it themselves. This is the biggest upgrade to their search box in 25 years. 25 years is basically Google's age. Just let's make it clear. What this means in practice is Google is no longer a search engine. I will say this one more time. It's not that Google will no longer be a search engine. Right now, Google is no longer a search engine. Google is moving towards a AI agent style of search, providing data and connecting devices, connecting tools. Okay. Moving forward, and this has already started, every single search box will be AI mode. So what they said last year, you need to start preparing for this. This is now a reality, okay? And it's no longer about you searching for a keyword. It's context. You can have a whole conversation with that AI agent that will be in your search box, basically. You will start typing something. It will predict what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to find, what information you need, because it's going to have your whole historical context. The context is unique to you. What that means in practice is all organic results, paid ads will be unique to people. The way we used to measure organic search results, ranking positions, ads, and etc., will be now completely different, because every single search result will be unique to you based on your context, your preferences, what Google knows about you. Okay. And the contextuality of things that I mentioned earlier will be heavily explored here. So your search box is now an AI agent. That's the main change. What people were doing last year with ChatGPT, Claude, and any other AI agents trying to search for things and do research, this is now part of your search box on your browser, or if you use a mobile phone and you have the Google app, it's going to be part of that as well.
Cristiano, for the people listening who are going to be leaders that manage teams doing this, that are probably not inside the advertising platforms, how have they changed right now? Like when you're actually in the accounts, are they totally different now? Are they are they removed the option for broad direct
Not yet.
broad phrase?
But broad and exact have not been exactly broad and exact for a while now. Google has already made that change quite some time ago. Remember what I said a few moments ago, what Google explained last year, that for you to be eligible, you need to have AI Max and PMax campaigns enabled. That's the main change. So for anyone that continues to do the traditional search campaigns in Google, you will start seeing less and less traffic, and you'll start seeing a significant drop in performance. You have to adapt now. And I know people have said, PMax doesn't work, AI Max doesn't work. Then I will go back to that element that I said, content on the landing page is quite important. What we used to hear from clients and from people that I speak, other industry leaders, right? PMax campaigns are not actually triggering the right keywords for my PMax campaigns. That's probably your landing page not having the right context and the right content, because it will work as AI. AI will try and interpret your website and your landing page. What you do, it's going to look at your entire digital footprint. And if it's not triggering the right types of ads based on the right context, that means your content is probably off. That means you have work to do. You need to bring your SEO and content teams and help you with landing page content to give the right context. And then chances are your PMax campaigns and AI Max campaigns will start working as intended. Good news is you make that change on a landing page, not only benefiting Google paid search or Google paid media, whatever you want to call it, but all the other AI engines as well. You make it easier for them to understand what you do, what kind of products or services you offer, have more context around your company, your organization, which will get you to better and more citations. So you make this change and you ensure you follow Google's best practices. You're actually ensuring that you are following best practice for every other AI tool and any other AI agents out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Search agents. I just said that Google is no longer a search engine, is more search agent. What this means in practice is you can go and you can search for something and you can ask Google, hey, I'm looking for, I don't know, hotel offers in Italy this summer. I will be there between the 18th and the 25th of August, I'm very flexible. I do not know the cities I'm going to. I have no itinerary, but my budget is 1,500, and keep observing prices. And whenever you see interesting prices and deals, let me know. This was not a search. This was me interacting with an AI agent. When you do that with Google now, it will have an agent working in your background. And the moment offers show up, it will start triggering messages on your phone or sending you messages on your email, depending on how you integrate stuff. And that same rule is valid for anything you research about. So this is Google becoming an AI agent and doing work in the background for you. So your website has to follow all technical best practices, or your schema markups. Your Google merchant has to be in a flawless position, because that's how Google will monitor prices and all the information about you and your business. So when the time comes, it will be able to serve that information to users that are interested in what you do. So that's another massive change. And you can have multiple sessions with multiple searches, and Google will save that context. The reason why Google can save that context is primarily because of the expanded personal intelligence search. You're already using Google Drive, Calendar, Gmail, so Google has a lot of context about you. This change, switching the search box into a AI search box with all those integrations that you already have with Google's products, basically put Google ahead of almost every single other AI company out there, OpenAI, Anthropic, and anybody else. This is one of the most powerful features you can have, because Google already integrates natively with all those tools. One of the things we struggle the most here at Somebody Digital is when we need to integrate our calendar, our Google Drive, our Gmail, to get AI to help us with answers, workflows, and be more productive and find information. Google integrate with all of those natively and will remember everything, and will be able to serve you hyper-personalized information and use the search box as an AI agent to make your life better, easier, and to help you find information faster. I'll pause there for a second to let that sink in, because this is massive news. You might not realize how important this is right now, but trust me when I say Google is now kind of ahead of the game, not in terms of having the best models, but ensuring that AI is part of your daily routines and workflows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And last but not least, this is the agentic coding in search. And like, I'm
This
not a
is
developer.
wild.
It's wild indeed. I'm not a developer. This is not important for me. Let's pretend that you're renovating your house. You go to Google and say, I'll need to do my kitchen. I need to find carpenters. I need to find people that can do my roof. I need to find good deals on flooring. Build an app for me that will help me keep track of everything, like a project plan. And Google will then build an app for you, and you can download and save that either on mobile or desktop, and you can keep using that. It's not ephemeral, meaning it will be there whenever you need it. So it will enable people that have never done any coding before to actually develop their own apps. And this is when your products and services become a big part of that, because you might actually be featured. If they're searching for prices or solutions for something and you're doing everything right, you might actually be featured into that app as well, either as organic. Is still unclear if they're going to have any paid advertising as part of that. Potentially yes, but we're still evolving, and this was, as I said, just announced last week. So massive changes. Everything that we have been saying before is now becoming more and more of a reality. And if you keep that mentality of having one PPC specialist that you hired somewhere to do Google search for you, those days are gone. I'm sorry. Things are about to become way more complex. They are already way more complex. And it's about the whole journey from user experience to landing page to context. And this is how you need to adapt, basically.
So who is holding this together now, Cristiano? Because it's not the PPC manager. It's
No, it's
multiple
not.
teams. Like who someone listening to this is nodding along saying, yep, who the hell do I get now? What is it? Someone internally? Is it a different job role? Is it something totally different? Like how does this look from a team structure perspective?
It's definitely a different, not a different role altogether, right? I would say that the easiest way is to try and identify your internal champions. Every company, every organization will have a couple of individuals that are more curious about this whole AI world. We are very fortunate here at Adaptation because most of our team members are curious and they have been experimenting and learning for quite a while now, because we wanted to be a AI first organization, and we basically encourage everybody in the company to go and do research and explore, right? You basically need to have a strategist that really understands AI, that is able to orchestrate multiple digital marketing disciplines and channels. This is a digital marketing manager or a digital marketing strategist. Perhaps is that PPC guy that you already have in your company, that's the guy that, okay, if I needed to make changes on my WordPress blog article, he's not a specialist, but he could do that. This is not an SEO guy, but he understands the concepts of SEO and what you need to do. He can help with content as well because he understands the types of content that we need to produce. If that guy also has knowledge on how to utilize AI and understands the changes, that's the guy that's going to lead that change internally as well. And he needs to be empowered. So it's not necessarily a new role, a new position, but it's definitely a new skill. And it's new for everyone, by the way. I predict that in about a few weeks, we're going to have a lot of new job titles being produced because of this. And then we're going to have companies that don't understand that are going to ask for 5 years of experience in that new job title, which is something that doesn't exist either. So it's a new skill, but you need to have that champion that has a good understanding. It doesn't have to be a specialist in every single area of digital marketing, but needs to understand digital marketing workflows as a whole, how the different channels work together for a full funnel multi-channel orchestration.
Brilliant. That's been really good, Cristiano, and a good top level overview of the way the search landscape is changing and the teams that need to go to it. I think we're probably going to do some more deep dives into very specific elements of this, whether this is a search landscape or teams or job role. I think the structure of teams is definitely something we can spend some more time. So we'll have a think about that and how best to do it. But thank you very much for your time this evening.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Cristiano. Bye bye.